When I first came to Pune, most of the people in Pune lived in the, what you would call, old city. Deccan Gymkhana was a low-density suburb. Camp was a suburb. Corrigan Park had a few palatial bungalows. But most people lived in the old city of Pune, as they did in Ahmedabad, where I had lived before, where people built houses wall to wall. There were no side yards. There were no backyards or front yards. The city of Pune, like traditional cities in India, were all built wall to wall with a courtyard inside. And the result was a very high density, walkable city. I used to walk from my suburban home on the 15th lane in Purvadre down to Deccan Gymkhana in about 10 minutes. And then from there I would walk to Monday in the middle of the city in 15 minutes. And another 15 minutes I would be on Imji Road. I used to walk across Pune, the then Pune, in about 45 minutes. So Pune has changed by something called urban sprawl. Urban sprawl is the spread of the city. I believe my friend Erich is going to present something on the sprawl of the city, so I'm not going to go into that in much detail. But basically a very human, people-oriented city turned into a city which is oriented towards, I dare say, towards builders, towards automobiles, towards roads, and towards spreading out and doing real estate business. As we all know, a great deal of the people who live in those apartments, well, they don't live in the apartments. They're actually investment opportunities. A lot of the empty flats coming up all around the city are used as a place for people to invest money in the hopes that those buildings would attract a higher rate later. Now, what are we really building in the suburbs of Pune is septic tanks, tube wells, gent sets. All of these things are polluting the aquifer systems. They are using, since MSCB doesn't work much of the week, we wind up using non-renewable imported energy at great cost to the nation. So the new city we're building is actually a totally unviable, unworkable, inhumane kind of environment. It's almost embarrassing to drive along the bypass from Hinjawadi over to Chandni Chowk and look at the architecture which has come up over just the last 5 or 10 years. I mean, 10 years ago, most of this urban fabric, which is so bad, so inefficient, and so inhuman, didn't exist. So we've actually built this ugly monstrosity literally over the last, I would say, 10 to 20 years. It's partially due to lack of any town planning schematic. This would be one of the only cities in the entire country that does not have an urban development authority. And in fact, we have 2 municipalities, municipal corporations. We have 9 other local authorities, cantonments and whatnot. But we have no metropolitan planning development authority like every other city in this country has. Nagpur was the first. They had the Nagpur Development Trust 112 years ago it was founded. So Pune is very backward in terms of its institutional development. We have no metropolitan planning committee, which is a statutorily required body of elected officials who would sit and decide on policies for this city. It doesn't exist. It's there in Bombay, but it's not here. So I think we're a kind of a institutionally challenged city. We don't even have the bodies that one would go and talk to about urban development. If you're in Hyderabad, you go to the Hyderabad Urban Development Authority and you can talk to people about parks which are coming up and other kind of activities. Now, I'm not necessarily in favor of urban development authorities. They are parastatal, non-democratic bodies. So there are issues there. But under the Pune Metropolitan Development Act, I mean, the Development Authority is supposed to be the secretariat to the democratically elected members who are members of the Metropolitan Planning Committee. Now, most people in the city wouldn't even know that these bodies, which are democratic bodies, even are supposed to exist. So it's like a country that was supposed to be having a parliament, and somehow nobody ever bothered to form a parliament. So these statutory bodies, which are enacted, they're legal, they're supposed to be here, have never been formulated. No doubt the Metropolitan Development Committee does meet once in 3 years. Rahul Bajaj asked me to go on his behalf just to see what's happening because he was out of town. And really nothing happened there at all. I think I'll cut it short by saying, to me, urban sprawl is what we're constructing. It's resulting in all kinds of inefficiencies, pollution of the aquifer system by tube wells and septic tanks, totally inefficient use of energy. I have my own electricity company. I've got a Kilosker gent set, and I call it, the Benneinger State Electricity Corporation, because it's very expensive for me to subsidize that public body. And it's just a totally ineffective, inefficient way we're building this city. And I would have to end with a kind of negative that I don't really know what the answer is, because I've been watching this happen since 1976 when I came to Pune from a walkable city. You cannot survive here without some sort of a vehicle to move in. It's just impossible. When I came here, I didn't have an automobile. Even the director of the Film Institute used to ride a Luna. The director of the Gokhale Institute used to ride a Luna. I rode a bicycle. Even when I started CDSA 15 kilometers out by Chandni Chowk, I used to ride a bicycle from 15th lane to past Chandni Chowk every day to work and come back. I would be killed on a bicycle now if I tried to do that. Thank you.